Hey guys, welcome to part 3 in this 3-part series of my interview with Tim Harris. If you didn't see parts 1 and part 2, make sure you go back and watch those. For those of you who don't know, Tim and Julie have sold hundreds and hundreds of homes. In fact, they sold over 100 homes their first year in the business nearly 30 years ago. They've been coaching real estate agents for 25 years. They've written a best-selling book. They've coached hundreds of real estate agents, probably thousands, and they've got the #1 daily downloaded podcast for real estate agents. In this interview, I go over my real estate journey, the different businesses that I've built from it, and I have a big announcement at the end, by the way, so stick around. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my real estate videos.
So you touched on quite a few things. First of all, you said, and this is true, you don't have to recruit anybody at EXP, and it still makes incredible sense. If you just do the math on it, it's very simple. EXP is a home run for you, even if you don't want to recruit or sponsor anybody, even if you don't care about revenue share, that's fine. And the next thing you said is that EXP's revenue share does give you an additional pathway forward to build passive income into the future. Dan and I, Julie and I, KERI and Dan, they did it through rental properties, but the fact is that there's a lot of inherent risk and time and cost and liability that's associated with rental properties. With revenue share, when you're receiving revenue share, there's no cost against it. When you're receiving revenue share, there's no, you're not answering the broker agent questions. You're not really doing, once your group gets to a certain size, there's very few things that you're actually required to do. And when you get that wire transfer on the 20th of every month, it's, the seventh wonder of the world for sure. So here's something else I want you guys to listen to what he said. If you have a broker or a team, and right now, let's be honest, you might convince yourself that you like spending time on the nights and the weekends, and while you're, walking around downtown Paris on vacation, you might kid yourself that you like answering all your agents' questions about this, that, and the other. But wouldn't you just love to purge that from your life and still have the benefits of being an independent broker or team? Well, you can. Because when you move over to EXP, you're going to have their brokers that are going to be then responsible legally for answering all those questions. Now, some of you, and I totally respect this, Dan and KERI are similar. You guys you might have a very established brand. KERI Team, very established brand. Well, that brand is going to stay the same. There is no, this isn't a franchise. The EXP is not going to roll in and say, change your signs, change your colors, answer your phone saying EXP Realty. None of that. This is not like you're walking and you're not becoming, Star Trek fans, right? I warned you, I was an introvert, which means I'm a nerd. So you're not going to all of a sudden find the big Borg cube, rolling into your front yard and trying to assimilate you into the system. Doesn't work that way. At EXP, they recognize you are the brand. EXP does not want to dominate you. EXP wants you to be the brand, and that means that if you have an established, I've recruited several, large brokerages, and they didn't want to lose their brand. It was something that was generational, third generation, their grandfather started it, that sort of thing. Fantastic. Keep your brand, and what it's going to be, it's going to say, Bob Smith Real Estate in very small print, depending on how it works in your state. So that's something we have to be in compliance about. Brokered by EXP Realty. If you have a really great brand like these guys do, and you don't want to scuttle your brand, you don't want to mess with it, consumers recognize you as being the market leader, no worries. KERI Team, brokered by EXP Realty. That's all it is. So a lot of times that will be something for a lot of brokers and teams and all the rest of it. You've spent millions of dollars, some of you. You've taken lifetimes to build up this stature in the community. Of course we want you to keep it. Of course we want you to preserve that. That's what, one of the greatest, I think, if you think how simple that is, but how nobody else does that other than EXP, it's pretty miraculous, really. EXP doesn't want to dominate you. What EXP essentially it's like your professional operating system for your individual agent brokerage or, real estate practice, or your big team real estate practice. We're the operating system. We're the backbone to make it so that you can essentially, sell as many homes and make as much money as you want to. Oh, and by the way, there's health insurance. Oh, by the way, there's, it's NASDAQ, it's publicly traded. Oh, by the way, you get stock discounts, you get stock awards. Oh, did we mention revenue share? So did I, anything else that I left out that was compelling to you when you were making the decision?
Well, 2 quick points. One, you mentioned they're on the NASDAQ, which means you can look up their profit and loss statements, their financials, and, compare it to what to what other companies that are publicly traded are doing on the P&L side, right? They actually make a profit. So, which a lot of people can't say. I won't name any, but they are profitable, which means they are in a position to consistently deliver value to the agents. I think the other thing to point out, because we talked about branding a little bit, and there's this misconception out there that the brand of the broker matters, and I've never found that to be the case. I think maybe 20 to 30 years ago, there might have been an argument for that. Like maybe people back then, before the internet, before Zillow, they would call up the local office and say, hey, can I be assigned an agent? Well, I've never found that to happen in selling hundreds and thousands of homes that where someone calls and asks for a certain brand broker agent. I was number one in my Century 21 office when I started off, did tons of volume at Keller Williams, and I never got a lead from the broker, and I'm not criticizing them for that at all. That's just not what they're designed to do. I think the branding, and this is coming out in a white paper that we're putting out soon, but the branding is and lead generation and marketing, that is all at the agent and or the team level. If you're an independent, if you're a team leader, solo agent, like you are the brand. No one else is, and EXP does not interfere with that.
Matter of fact, not only not interfere with it, but they help you to scale it up. There's a whole marketing division inside EXP that agents have access to that will work for you for free. There's a tech team. If you like, I shouldn't laugh because I'm guilty of this as anybody, but if you're having problems with your own computer, you can actually log into EXP's tech team. They'll then get access to your computer, and they're going to help you fix whatever the problem is. So for those of you who are you want to join a tech-enabled brokerage, but you're personally not that tech-enabled, I'm right there with you. Don't worry, the EXP's got you covered. It's interesting also what you said. You're right. I mean, when Julie and I were selling real estate primarily in the 90s, you would occasionally have a seller, we were with RE/MAX, call the RE/MAX office and say, I want to interview an agent. And the person at the front desk would have a list of who gets the next lead that comes in and all the rest of it. And then you'd be there, and that same seller would have chosen an agent for RE/MAX, an agent from XYZ, and an agent from ABC, and we're going to make you guys compete who's going to get our listing. You're right, that doesn't happen anymore. Nowadays, what people are doing is they gravitate, and really that only lasted for maybe a year or two, and then it all started gravitating towards agent branding that dominated the markets around the country and the world, really. And so now, again, with EXP, so if you guys, Dan and I are drilling down on this, because for those of you who are stuck in this paradigm that your broker matters, and as far as marketing and lead generation, it really doesn't. And I'll prove it to you. It's very simple. Ask your last closings. Ask your last 5 closings, 10 closings. What broker you're with. Just ask them. Bet they don't know. Bet they don't know because they don't care. They chose to do business with you, not the broker. I know... Right. We're crossing lines with regards to the legal semantics, but I'm talking strictly from a marketing perspective. So, yeah, I mean, the opportunity with regards to compounding your wealth. Oh, you said this other thing too. I think it's important to mention this. We're talking about revenue share again. The revenue share groups will grow. Like you'll get into EXP. Like we're just talking with that gal right before today's podcast, Dan. You'll get into EXP, and what you're going to discover is by you joining EXP, there's going to be people that are EXP curious, agents that are EXP curious, at your old broker, maybe people you did co-ops with or things like that. They're going to ask you about EXP. They're then going to join EXP. You're going to be the person that answers the questions. You're going to be the person that sponsors them. And then by accident, in a lot of cases, you're going to all of a sudden start building revenue share. Now, am I oversimplifying it? I am not. Some of the largest revenue share organizations at EXP are, basically when you see the names of who they are, I promise you don't know their names. They're just normal agents. They're not, celebrities of any variety. They're normal agents who you've never heard of, who basically sponsored 5 people here, 5 people here, 5 people there. Those people sponsored people, and next thing you know, they're making over $1 million a year. You think I'm making this up? I'm not, and we'll be more than happy to prove it to you. So Dan, you're obviously moving over, EXP is your way forward for all the reasons we've discussed it. I think you will easily become one of the most prolific recruiters at EXP. I would be surprised if you didn't. KERI's reputation in the industry is second to none. So if anyone's out there that has a team or a brokerage that wants to join EXP, Dan, or an individual agent, right? It doesn't really matter. How can they get a hold of you? What's the simplest way?
Well, before I tell them that, which I gladly will do, I just want to say that what I also love about this model, specifically for me, is it really ties into a lot of the things I have done. I've spent a lot of years selling real estate, recruiting, training, building a coaching company, doing a podcast, building up social media, right? Well, now I can train other people into, how to do that. I can plug them into HYPERFAST agent coaching, give them that as a benefit of being in my group, right? I can get on the recruiting calls with them when they have interested people, or teach them how to do that. I've recruited hundreds of agents over the years, in our Washington, D.C. area. So I have passive investments. I know how to syndicate condo deals. These are all things that will be available to members in our group. We're gonna train them how to do whatever they want, because we're gonna do it at no cost, right? Normally you have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars a month to get these kind of benefits. They get all of that for free because I want them to grow. The bigger they grow, the bigger we grow. It's the first system of its kind in real estate at scale that's possible. So if you want to learn more about it, pick up your phone and send me a text message, 703-638-4393. That goes right to my cell phone, 703-638-4393.
And that's your real cell phone. It's not going to an AI bot. It's not going to somebody overseas that's going to answer your text for you. This is really going directly to you, correct?
Correct. Right.
Well, get ready. You're
going to
get a lot of.
I'm going to answer it.
Yeah.
No, it's fun for me. I'm having the most fun that I've had in my real estate career, for sure. It's because I'm helping agents everywhere, so it's magical.
One of my EXP, soon be your EXP mentors, is a guy named Gene Frederick. And Gene was one of the first people. I think he joined EXP when it had 550 agents or something, and now EXP has 84,000 agents. And he has a slogan. It's called "Making Real Estate Fun Again," and it really is. And the reason it makes it fun again, aside from all the benefits of EXP, is because you're around people who see a future that is so incredibly bright, that's not dependent on interest rates or home sales or politics. People, when you have the ability to do what you're doing at a high level, being supported at a high level, and then know that you can also create enough passive income that you don't have to wait until you're in your 60s to retire. I know people who are in their 30s who have been associated with EXP for less than 5 years who are effectively retired. And it's because you will be joining right at the perfect growth curve, and you will find agents everywhere that are EXP curious that definitely want to join you at EXP. This is like I said, the last best business opportunity of many of our lifetimes. I suppose if you're listening to us and you're 12 years old, you might have some others that pop up along the way that maybe are better. But right now, this is pretty much the last best business opportunity of all of our lifetimes. So Dan, if they want to talk with you about being sponsored by you at EXP Realty, get all the benefits of being associated with you and KERI and your coaching organization, and de facto be associated with Julie and I, and all the benefits being associated with us, right? So they get 2 benefits by being associated with our organization. How can they get hold of you? What was the cell phone number again?
Yeah, it was 703-638-4393.
All right, so next podcast I'm going to do with this guy. Here's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on the pillars of wealth creation and wealth preservation. And we're going to do this sometime in the next 30 days. We're going to talk about buying rentals. We're going to talk about VRBOs. We're going to talk about apartment syndication. And we're going to put all these together in such a way that you guys then can start creating more of a financial pathway forward with ultra clarity based on someone who's actually done it, not just somebody you're seeing on YouTube that may or may not have actually done it. Dan, I really appreciate you being on our podcast. I certainly appreciate you guys aligning with Julie and I at EXP Realty. Listeners, again, if you want to get hold of Dan, if you want to join what probably will be one of the most successful real estate organizations of all time, Dan and KERI at EXP Realty. What's your cell phone number one last time?
It is 703-638-4393.
All right, Dan and I have to get on another Zoom call. You guys have a fantastic day.
Thank you for watching part 3 of my interview with Tim Harris. By the way, if you didn't see parts 1 and 2, make sure you do it. You're gonna wanna hear the whole entire story. And if you wanna become a part of my global real estate organization and plug into my coaching, my training, the coaching and training that Tim has developed, text me at 703-638-4393. When you do that and you join me at eXp Realty, not only do you get to become a part of the fastest growing real estate company in the history of real estate, but you get to learn from me. You get the benefits of support from my community. You get to plug into leaders like myself and Tim Harris to learn how to build your business, to scale it to the next level, and to build multiple streams of revenue. Again, when you're ready, text me at 703-638-4393, and I would be honored to have a conversation with you.